Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Mr. Pumpkin Adventure. Odd name for a game, and that's just where the oddities start. So this is a point-and-click adventure in the most traditional sense of the word, and I've been playing it for about an hour before I eventually just gave up, and I've got a good reason for it, trust me. So, we're just gonna have a quick look around. There's not really that much to see though. Menu, start the menu, I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but anyway, move that back. There is also an about screen, which will tell you all the credits and stuff, and you can of course check the options. Nothing here, just sound effects and music. The entire game is controlled via a cursor, as you can see. It's more or less just tap where you want, and there'll be things you can tap and drag. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to start a new game, because a new game would probably be the best way to show off this game and what it does and what it is. And what it is a really weird thing. Loading times aren't particularly great, but thankfully you don't have any loading times between chapters, so you can spend a fair amount of time without a loading screen. So I'll let it slide. So you start out with these weird comics, and you're kind of meant to get what's going on in the plot from these, and the only thing that is really here to be gained from this is you have amnesia. That's pretty much it. Everything else is just some weird thing that's just stuck in the background. So, it's a point-and-click adventure game, as I said. You've got these little arrows on the side of the screen that'll let you go to different places. And you've got things like little mini-games that you can do. These mini-games suck, by the way, because look at that. Seriously, like, I mean, it's a pretty normal puzzle game sort of thing, but I will show you what it is like anyway, because I have to. Look at this. Look at this crap. Who came up with this? So, talk about your goddamn busy work, eh? The game has plenty of tiny little mini games like this, and the thing is, the game's controls aren't particularly great for this sort of thing. The problem is that the game absolutely loves throwing these little things at you, and little objects that you have to pick up, and the controls aren't very good for it, because it is quite difficult to, by the way, there's, well, wait, I have to turn this on first. There's your code. 2015, and the controls just don't work very well because they're not very precise, and there are some object interactions that we can get to shortly that will show you just how bad this is. But anyway, the code for this is 2015 because it was reflected in the mirror. Took me a little while to figure that out. I had 5102 for as long as I could bloody figure out. But, you know, open that up, I get a giant robot head, a piece of the diary, and strangely enough, this looks like it can be picked up. This little photo here, but you can't. This is actually a problem that the game's got. It's really hard to tell what objects you can pick up and what objects you can't. I spent a minute sitting here tapping this goddamn key without figuring out, oh, it's on the other side, I have to help this guy, and he wants an apple for whatever reason, so let's go and try and get him an apple. More places to go, more things to do. And when the game is just mainly having you logic stuff out, it usually does alright, but then there are things that are just ridiculous. Like, see, the game suggests using a knife on this poster here, right? Or at least it seems to. Nope, doesn't work. Nope, doesn't work. Nope, doesn't work, right? Nope, turns out due to the game needing to be overly precise, you need to put the tip of the object at a very precise point, which is very hard to do if you are using your fingers. So you end up having to use something like the controls in the analog stick. But wait, for some reason, I can't pick up this knife. Yeah, I don't know why this is a thing either. So you have to drag the knife to a very specific spot in order to reveal the TV controls. I don't know. There's a lot of, like, really precise shit like that in this game, and it gets really annoying really goddamn fast. There is, of course, more that we can do. We can apparently take water from our dead fish's bowl, use that to water the plant. It'll grow an apple for us, which we can feed the bloody flying beast that's broken into our house with. Also, yes, it's still very precise. I'm amazed I got that first try. So I can get the key to go back down and unlock this thing, which reveals a giant gear which needs a head because it's a robot. And that tells me AEB, which is the solution to the code. So AEB is A is 5, B is 3, and I believe it's the sum of A and C, so it's 21. So 5, 21, 3. There we go. And that's chapter 1. Unfortunately, when the chapters go on, the problems get a little bit worse. The puzzles get harder, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but again, since you can't tell what you can click on and what you can't click on half the time, it gets even worse. And there are just some other weird things as well, like some of the puzzles, like the red-faced guy must know something. The writing in this game really does feel like it is written by someone who isn't very good at English, which doesn't surprise me because there are parts of this game that look like they're still in the Chinese localization, like that little Chinese symbol there. I was actually looking up a walkthrough of this game on the internet because it's one of those weird games where you have trouble figuring out what's actually a thing that you can tap on and interact with or not. And yeah, some of the words were in English that were in Chinese in my version of the game, so the localization hasn't been 100% completely done through and through, which is very odd indeed. Like, see, there's Chinese text right there. And the whole game's got this whole weird thing going about it as well. It feels like a parody of something. I just don't know what it's trying to be a parody of. Oh, by the way, that shovel there, you can tap that. Yeah, I don't know either. Also, that lever. You might not think that lever actually does anything, but it actually lets you come up here. This guy wants what looks like a matchstick. He wants it lit, and he wants it to light his pipe, and that'll give us the code to get into this door here, by the way, which I actually guessed this thing completely by accident, and I don't know how, but anyway. So, did you think that was going to be the matchstick? I didn't either. You want to know what you have to do with it? Since we already did the oil pipe, we have to cover this thing in oil, if I can actually tap the damn thing. So now we have to cover this thing in oil, and we have to set that on fire. And for some reason it just goes all the way over there. Then we can just go back up and we can light it with this. I have so much trouble figuring out some of the puzzles in this game just because of the random shit it needs to make you use. And this just continues throughout the entire bloody thing, at least as far as I've played. Which is really strange. But yeah, as you can see, there's the combination for the puzzle there, and it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass to remember, I gotta say. 4, 2, 1, 3, 5. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to assume 1 and 5 just need to be straight out. 2 and 3 need to be down. And, okay, so it needs to be down, up, up. Okay. Down, up, up. There we go. Me and my memory, man. There have been a couple of puzzles that I haven't... Danger. There have been a couple of puzzles that I haven't been able to figure out myself just because I'm a bloody idiot, and I fully admit that. But still, some of this is weird. Like, would you have guessed that this shovel needs to be used to dig a tiny amount of dirt out of a goddamn pot plant to find this? And do you know what this is? I didn't know either, but apparently you use it to pick locks. Or slice away locks. And that gives you a lever for another really annoying minigame puzzle. Took me an annoying amount of tries to get that tap, because of course the game's controls aren't very good. And you can come here and you can play this aviator game, which will give you the hint to actually finish the puzzle. So let's go play this horrible minigame. Most of the minigames in this game are either annoying puzzle games or some weird like action-y game. Like, wait until you see what you need to do to get a hint in this game. It's horrific. Oh, I just took a hit. And there's the end of the game, thank God. And that's your hint. That's what you have to do in the puzzle to get to the next chapter. So here's what the playing the game for the hint looks like. I'm gonna have to use the button for this because using the touchscreen is a nightmare. It's a bloody clone of the Impossible game, but the thing is, they repeat the same couple of patterns. So it just gets horrendously boring. And of course, you have to get 200 points in order to actually succeed at this, so have fun with that. If you're bad at this sort of thing, like, I can't imagine people coming to a bloody point-and-click puzzle game to need to finish this to play with hints, but then again, it's not as bad as the version of the game I was looking up on the internet where it costs like 75 pence to... Yeah, so it even gives you a hint that we already have, but that's how that works. I don't know who buys a point-and-click adventure game for a little action game like that. Like, what's the point? But anyway, I'm gonna tap on this puzzle just to show you what it's like, but it's a really shit puzzle because you have to get all 5 of these things rotated into the right place, and it took me ages to figure this one out the first time because puzzles like this fucking suck for me. So, thankfully, I've been saving at the beginning of every chapter, so we'll just load straight into chapter 3. Oh, also, just before I forget, let's go to save again. Well, save. You've got a fair few save slots, but here's the funny thing. If you try and save too fast, please do not save again in a short time. I've never seen that before. Very odd. But anyway, we'll just load straight into 4 colors. There are a few other things to talk about, like the game's performance is crap. You can see obvious V-Sync tearing, which really shouldn't be a thing in a game this simple. And of course, with the controls being bad as well. And the music is all short music loops. So you end up hearing the same thing over and over again while you're trying to figure out a puzzle, and it drives you mad. It's really severe in the first chapter, where the loop ends with a really loud sound of someone slamming their head against a piano. It's very odd indeed. It's a shame. When the game isn't entirely dedicated to... Oh yeah, by the way, here's what the diary pages look like. There's this whole plot about there being a mind control experiment or something going on. But frankly, at this point, I don't really care. I do not remember how to solve this goddamn puzzle, so I'm probably going to have to end this video off very shortly, but it's actually, this one's actually a really hard puzzle to figure out. Like, that's one, but, like, for example, you can see on the puzzle on the left that it's basically just a circle around the outside of those things, but the second puzzle, I have no fucking clue. I legitimately have no idea how you're supposed to find the solution to that one. I got no idea whatsoever. I don't even remember what the solution is because there's nothing like any of those ones on the page. And see, there's a line of Chinese text right in the middle they forgot to localize, so... It's a shame. There are a couple of puzzles here that work alright, but just most of them are horrendous because of the controls or just the fact that they are adventure game puzzles that seem to be put there just to extend the amount of time you spend playing the game. And it really does suck. Don't ask me. Oh, well, yeah, 1435 was on that book we read back there, so we just need to put this clock to 1435, which is 2:35, and hopefully it'll work. The game is just this weird mess of crap. I really don't know what's going on with it. It's so weird. But at the same time, just some of these puzzles are really annoying. Like, there's literally just a memory puzzle at the end of this chapter, which is like, go back through the chapter, find these little sketches you've seen, and just take care of that. It's annoying as hell. Right, I need to remember where the battery is, which is in the little thing here, which it took me ages to bloody see, because it's tiny and off in the corner there. I have to take the battery. And putting that battery back in is a right arse, by the way. I know I just did it first try, but it took me like 5 or 6 the last time I was doing it. But some of the puzzles are really annoying. The controls are horrible to deal with. The game's performance isn't great. The music loops to a massive amount of frustration, and it just stops being fun after a while. And I really don't want to play anymore. I played an hour, and that's enough for me. So, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. That's 15 minutes of Mr. Pumpkin Adventure. You've seen the solutions to the first 2 chapters. If you like the look of the game, and you can stand crappy controls and silly puzzles and ridiculous things like that, go right ahead. Me, I don't like this game one bit, and I plan to stop right now. So, there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.